Now our step is to paint the secondary colors. Just like when we did the primary colors, I want us to start with yellow, then we'll add some red, and then we'll move on to adding blue. So I want you to look at your shape, the yellow shape, and it should have two different areas for secondary colors that touch it. So that would be here and here. Those ones we're going to paint nicely and pretty quickly. We're going to paint them yellow. So I'm going to come over to my yellow, spin, spin, spin. Remember, it should be about 5, maybe a little extra. Then the tip of the paintbrush is really, really yellow, and I'm ready to go on the paper. We waited until today because the paint needs to be wet in order to mix. So please still stay in the lines. I don't want you to just start painting the whole thing. But that having it nice and wet is going to help a lot. So just like last week, you're going to be outlining first, please, and then coloring in the inside. So now these are both wet. I'm going to rinse out my brush. I put it all the way to the bottom and I swirl it a couple times, wipe it off on the edge. Now before it dries up, I want to quickly get red on my brush. So I come over to red, 1, 2, 3 only, 3 spins, because there's a lot of red already. And I'm going to paint right in here. This is where I want to see what happens when yellow and red mixes. We know what color it should make, but let's see if it actually works. So here it is on in my triangle shape, and as I'm mixing it in with the yellow, it should definitely be turning more orange. It will be harder because this will be wet to keep it in the same lines the way we did the first time. So I understand if it gets a little outside of the lines. But now you can see that they mix together and they make an orange color. Now I want to come over here and do my orange or my red and leave it just plain red, because this is an area where I'm going to have to mix red and blue. So I'm going to come over to red, spin just a little bit, outline first, color it in, paint it in, and then I'm going to stop. I've done both my red areas, so now I rinse my brush all the way in, a couple spins, wipe it off on the edge. So now it's time for me to try using the blue. You can tell that we're working faster than we did the other times. Just a few spins, and I'm going to set it in here, and as I'm painting I'm really gently going back and forth, not scrubbing. I don't want to rip a hole in the paper. But as I gently go back and forth, you can see it's making a purple now instead of just a blue or just a red. Because those overlap, it makes purple. Now we need to do this one, so I don't need to rinse my brush. I just need to come get a little more blue. And as I paint it, it should mix in with the yellow. And it turns green, the other secondary color. So as I'm going around the edges and just mixing it in so it makes that green. Once you think if it's mixed and you've made your secondary color, you put your paintbrush in to rinse, and we're going to take these to the drying rack. It's a little bit faster, a little bit shorter, but we really want to work on making those secondary colors and exploring how we actually use the paint to mix them.